All right. Welcome back. We got Shark Nation Live number 2. We've got special guest here today with Jason and myself. We have Matt Durbin. How's it going today, Matt?
Good. What's up, fellas? How we doing?
Welcome.
Living the dream, man. So Matt Durbin, for those of you listening that don't know, he runs a killer team in Pittsburgh and always been a good friend. Sold 240-ish units this year, still tacking them on. 70 million in production, 2 million GCI, all the good stuff. 4 times Icon agent here at EXP in 4 years. So yeah, man, putting it all up. What's it feel like to start seeing those kind of numbers come in after you've, risen through the ranks of real estate?
It still feels like you haven't done anything. Still feels like there's so much room for growth and like you're totally not meeting your potential, quite honestly. I think like it depends where you're at, right? Like if you look back 6 years ago, like would I love to be in a position where we've grown, we've got a great team behind us, we've got a lot of good people in our organization, we've got good people in our direct team, and we're doing a lot of volume. And would I trade places? Yeah, absolutely. But what I also like when I look at like you're living in the game, you're living in the gap. It's like, well, we could have done better this year. We could have done better last year. We should be ahead of where we are now. And so you can look at it from two different eras, but I feel like we're on the right. I really feel like we're on the right path right now for growth, both professionally, personally has been a big asset for us this year. We've really dove in on a personal level on a lot of different things with our team and spent a lot more time on that than we maybe have on business, but feel like all in all we're set up, I feel like, perfectly for a market that we're about to enter, and we're set up for growth. And so I feel pretty optimistic about 2024 unless I'm blind to something that's going to happen in the market.
Well, real quick, I heard you mention the gap and the gain. I think that was a awesome book.
It was, yeah.
I read that one. I read, Who Not How, and also getting from 10x is easier than 2x. Did you read that latest one?
I haven't read that one yet. I did hear him on the Ed Milet podcast, and I would suggest listening to that one a few times. First time there was a lot. Like I went back and like re-listened to that one.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good value.
All right.
That's interesting about going back and re-listening too, because a lot of people don't do that. And you miss and kind of committing to mastering a subject, instead of just taking all those little bits, even just with trainings, we like if any agent's watching or listening, that's one of the things for me in the last year, I went back and rewatched shit that I already went through.
Yes. And
you get those nuggets you miss.
I have a bunch saved that I will revisit depending upon where I'm at personally or we're at professionally, or if I need to go back and get a kick in the ass, I got an Andy Frisello podcast ready to rip my face off. If I want to go back and look at marketing, then yeah, I probably have some Hermosi ones in the stashed away, or Gary V, or you want. So I feel like sometimes it's really hard. Like me personally, all I do is take in information, and sometimes I have to pause it. Like when I'm working out in the morning, I'm listening to a podcast, or I got YouTube on. When I'm in the shower, I have a podcast playing. When I'm in my car on the way, I don't listen to the radio anymore. I'm always taking in information. And sometimes I gotta be like, all right, I'm taking in too many things. What am I trying to do better personally or professionally, or how do we move our business ahead? And I'll find that person and I'll go super deep and listen to 2 years worth of podcasts from that person, right? Like if I'm trying to go deep on a topic, but it's hard to keep out all the noise.
Oh, is it? Yeah. I mean, and then the other people around you start saying things about certain stuff. And I feel rude sometimes, like my mom and I go back and forth actually a lot. We talk a lot about what we've watched, and there's sometimes where I'm just I'll lock in, like you said, I'm like, nope, I'm locking in on this subject. Yeah. And I'm she'll tell me this thing. I'm like, yeah, nope, I don't care right now.
Yeah.
locked in.
I mean, I think that's real estate 101, right? Like there's always a shiny object. There's always another marketing thing to pay for. There's always a program we can buy. There's always something that's going to help grow our team. There's like, I promise you, if you pull up your computer and you open your email or you go onto YouTube, you'll find somebody willing to sell you something in real estate. It's going to make your real estate business better. Whether or not it's the right thing you should be buying at the right time is a different story. But there's always
I think in a way, like it's like it's like you need both. Like you've got to be open and buying shit and learning, and but at the same time have a governor and like know when to lock down. Like you can't just ignore that stuff. Like you can't be an agent like I'm not paying a penny for anything. Like I bought some stuff that were total mistakes. I learned nothing, but I knew not to go down that rabbit hole. Mm-hmm. Right?
You got sometimes you got to pay to realize that's not what you should be doing. One thing
Jason,
we've been looking at a lot lately is that one of our kind of mentors at Place it got us on the 12-week year, and so it helps it. When you really try to chunk things down into quarters, then you're like, all right, these are the 3 things that I'm really going to concentrate on this month, and I'm going to cut the noise out of all the rest of them. And sometimes it's easier said than done, but if honestly, like if I could do everything all over again, me personally, business-wise, or running a team, I would only do one thing a quarter, and I would get really freaking good at it, and then I would add another thing the next quarter, and I would every quarter you got 5, 6 things you're trying to do, and then something else comes into play, and then something else. The people who can stay disciplined to really mastering one subject or one lead source or one marketing plan and getting really good at it over the quarter, and then the next quarter, if you have the ability, then you could add something else, and if you want that approach, you just get there way faster than trying to do a million things at once. Like if I could go back and redo my business, I would do it exactly like that.
So I think let's go back to that, right? Obviously, awesome accomplishment, over 200 units. You got a huge team going, but you didn't start there, right? Like, how did it all start for you? Solo agent? Did you start with a partner? How did that kind of work, and how did you grow from A to Z here?
Yeah, I mean, I started on the mortgage end, and not to spend too much time on that. Was in Florida. I was on the mortgage. I started a mortgage broker business when I was 25 with a business partner in Fort Lauderdale, and then we know how that ended. 2007 came, market crashed, and we were out of business just as fast as we were in. Right, had like one good year, but weren't established enough to make it through a downturn or like a giant crash like we went through. Worked for a national lender through all the Dodd-Frank changes for a number of years, and then as the market started to come back in South Florida, I moved over to the real estate side, where I worked as a solo agent for a couple of years, and then became friends with a guy at my office, and we decided to partner up and try the team approach. And this was 2010, probably 2011, 2012-ish. It was before there was really teams. Like there wasn't really much of a team approach back then, but he was really good at search engine optimization and building websites, and I taught myself that side of things, and I taught myself pay-per-click. So I figured out how to run my own Google pay-per-click ads. I mean, I spent days and days and days and nights, and I mean, this was the grind era really, but we figured out how to generate. I could spend $250 a month, and I could generate 30 to 50 Google pay-per-click ads or leads, and so I could work those, or we could every $250. The way we looked at it, every $250 a month you spent, you could add a team member, and that should get them one deal a month, and then they could get one a month from their sphere, and you could grow a team like that. And so we did that for a little while, and then it was a difficult market to do it in, because that was when the market started coming back in Fort Lauderdale. That was hedge funds buying every house that hit the market, sight unseen, cash offer. So we saw ends of every spectrum in Fort Lauderdale, the bottom, the top, the in between, the craziness. And so, some point along those lines, I decided to move back to Pennsylvania. So I moved back here in 2013 and did the same thing on my own. I got my office to get me a Real Geeks website for the brokerage. They did no lead sort. They did nothing lead wise at the time. I get really good at Facebook ads and I got really good at Google pay-per-click ads, and I could generate as many leads as I could afford. And I worked them like they were the last lead I was going to get. And that's how I started here from scratch. You know, that was the start of the business here in Pittsburgh.
Dude, I sit in internet lead subject is like my main forte when it comes to that, like whatever it is, like whether it's Facebook, Google, Zillow, Realtor.com, all of them, there's principles that apply with internet leads. And, everybody comes, the leads suck. Well, they suck if you suck. Like if you don't work, like I've turned on leads for agents and they get 30 leads and they call 5 of them once. I'm like, and when I think back to because I started around 2014, so I was around every lead I got, like I'm shaking the hell out of that piggy bank. Every penny that comes out is mine. Like, you know what I mean? And it's just crazy to see people that don't treat leads that way. Like I just don't get it. Like it's just like this is your livelihood here. Why would you not be squeezing every ounce? And then aside from that, you want to know if something works. When you start it, you should work it almost better than you will in 6 months or a year. So you can really find the true hard numbers out of what's the full potential out of that source you're trying. You know what I mean? But so what do you, yeah, that's a good one. You're running a team. What's been your best way to make that make sense to an agent that you have to work the damn lead, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Real estate's math. This is a math game. This is what my coach John Kitchens always says: real estate is math. Everything else is just drama. If I got enough leads, I talk to enough leads, I make enough dials, I'm going to get enough contacts, and enough contacts are going to get me enough nurtures, which are going to get me to enough appointments, which are going to get me to enough closings. And if I'm not talking to enough people, then I need to look at, am I making enough dials? If I'm not making enough dials, then we know what we need to work on. If I'm making the dials and I'm talking to enough people and I'm not getting enough appointments, we need training on sales. What are you saying? How are you saying it? How do we convert them into appointments? And then we can help you get to the closing table, right? But I think the way that we look at leads, I think, is different now than maybe it even was back then. Like the same lead, like that I'm paying for, or you're paying for, or that Facebook lead that we're spending the least amount, comparatively speaking, versus a portal lead or whatever, is the same damn lead I'm paying $250 for on Zillow.
Right.
You're getting that person on Facebook, and then they're getting sold down the street on Realtor.com 2 weeks later, and then they're coming in on Realty.com, and then they're coming through. They found a deal on Craigslist, and so the same lead, so to speak, which isn't it's the same person getting resold to us as real estate agents 8,000 times over. So it's like, well, why would I spend $250 on Zillow when the same person is going to come through my Facebook ad? Now yep. I got to dig them up, but that's part of the job, right? It's a sales job, but it's the same person. And so now I think the way that we look at leads, so to speak, is we look at database. How many people are in our database? What is our database turnover rate? What is how many, so this is a good example. Let's say you've got 10,000 people in your database. Okay. Let's say you've generated leads for 5 years, just for example purposes, right?
Right.
If somebody moves let's just say every 10 years in your market, there's 1,000 people in your database that are going to make a move. Probably 500 to 600 of those are sellers. So there's 1,600 sides this year sitting in your database. Why are we going to pay for Zillow leads right now when I have 1,600 sides sitting in my database that I'm not contacting? And so now, like, we look at, well, what's our database turnover rate? Well, if we got 10,000 people in our database, we need to be making $3,500 a month, so that every quarter we turn these people over to make sure that we're not losing anything out of that, right? So I think everything has changed a lot, at least for me personally, the way that I think about leads and I think about database and I think about people that we capture, and it's changed I feel like it's changed the game. It's still hard, but it's changed the way I look at all that buyer lead stuff and seller lead stuff and all that, right?
So I mean, I went through I bought Zillow for years. That was my
I mean,
best
we
source
still
when
make leads. Like, admittedly, I'm not
Right.
saying there's anything wrong with that. If the model works and the numbers work, by all means. But
net profit is net profit. Like, no matter what I mean, if you're making money, if you can trade at $1 for more dollars, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
But I've went through that mental state of that change from Zillow to, a lead is a lead is a lead. It's a human being, right, that goes into the database that, But I think what I find when you really hear it, what I learned when I hear it from you, at the end of the day, I think what it is when we're buying those shiny objects, or we're just looking for that magic unicorn lead source where they drop in our lap with a contract written on a house, like that doesn't happen, right? But we search for it. It's all of us avoiding the shit that we've got to do to pull the sales out of the database. And I don't just mean by that, I don't just mean calling. Like, your people, if they didn't work with you or join you or do whatever you wanted them to do, and it was valuable to that person, you just didn't articulate it properly to them. And that's the thing. It's like, I complain to my friends and family sometimes, oh, this agent won't do this, or this person won't do this. But at the end of the day, I have to vent. But what I've shifted to is, it's my fault. I didn't get them to see why this was a better option for them. And I think when you take that perspective, then you have something you can fix. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think, what was I going to say? Oh, you either pay for, in my opinion, leads, so to speak, you pay money or time, right? If you don't have any money, then you got to put more time into converting leads, and you got to spend more time on the phone, and you have to talk to more people. If you are, you're a solo agent and you got money and you're busy as hell, and you can afford to pay for Zillow leads that you convert and they make you money, then buy Zillow leads, because you don't have the time to call them. And if you're not going to call them, then there's no point in paying for them, right? So I think it depends where you're at in the process. So if I'm starting out, I can't afford Zillow leads. So I can afford Facebook leads at $1 a lead, or $2 a lead, or 50 cents a lead. I could spend $100 a month on that and get 30, 50 leads and work the hell out of them. Like, because I have time. That's all I have is time. So, I think it depends where you're at in the process too. But
yeah.
What do you
Well, and
think,
then it became, go ahead.
I was going to say real quick, what do you think as far as, okay, you have agents on your team that might have been on the team when things were great, everybody was shaking the real estate money tree, interest rates were 2%, any lead that came in was kind of the hot lead, right? So it was pretty much a warm lead. You took it, you go, you show them one house, they buy it, and life is great. Now it's like, I think I'm feeling like, when the leads come in and they're not the hot lead, now they, there's like that atrophy of like working that muscle of like actually following up. So like you said, the lead source comes in, it's not that shiny object thing where they're calling and wanting to go see things right off the bat. And then it goes into the database where it's like, never to be heard from again. And it's like, they just wait for the latest and greatest one. Have you been seeing that at all?
Yep. We kind of, we had to like change our business a little bit the last year, and we probably will continue, but we have to change our mindset on the database. And a lot of it has just been around the database turnover, right? And so the way that we look at our team is, we're not a one-size-fits-all shop like some people are, where, hey, this is what we do. These are the two, three things that we do. And If you're not able to do them, then you're not on the team, right? We'll start with what are the goals and how are we going to get there? What are the lead sources that you're going to do? Maybe, maybe you're not an expired listing cold caller, and that's okay. There's a lot of people who aren't. That means you're going to have to double up on something else, though. You're going to have to do more open houses. You're going to have to do these things, and so we kind of work backwards and create the plan for the agents that are on the team, and then we come to an agreement on what needs to be done in order to get there. And right now, if you want to add another 12 deals to your business per year, and it's going to come through database, there's going to require a number of dials that are going to be required in order to get there. And if you're okay with doing 12 less, then you might not make the dials, but that's going to be a direct result on your 1099 at the end of the year. So it's difficult. However, everything's difficult. It's just it's a change in the market. And when I say I feel like we are set up for a better year this year, because we do have a lot of agents that concentrate on buyers, and we're good at calling expired listings and for sale by owners, which we haven't had the last couple of years. And a lot of our agents have had those hot buyers, but they lost 10 offers. And so same amount of work with that one person was just as much, if not more. And so, there's always the market's the market. It's ever changing. It's always going to be that way. We got to be able to change and adapt to that. And it's going to be a different year this year than it was this past year. We can feel it already with listings, and that's just what it is. We're going back to 2017 when we need to get feedback on every showing on a listing end, and we need to give them reports. We need to show them the market activity, and it came quick,
Yeah, no, it's so funny. So that's perfect because all the stuff you're saying, it's hilarious how like identical to either what I've been saying, what I've been thinking, what I've been absorbing. It's funny how but there's actually was a really good ad. I think it was Follow Up Boss that was running it with Mike Ferry, but that what's this team going to give you leads? Well, everybody's got leads. Technology, everybody's got technology. What makes you different? And I think obviously, well, I think that's there's a hole I want to go down with it, but I won't go there. It's basically what, aside from that plan, the math, getting them to do the basics, you talked about like personal, touching them personally and stuff like that. What's been different, especially this year, like that you've done that is unique, that isn't the leads, the tech, the stuff like that?
We started to implement this year. Is one of the things, like we moved to place this year, and one of the things that a lot of their teams do, or the model that they run, is there's a power up, they call it, every morning. So every morning from 8:30 to 9, we have a power up where we're covering a particular topic, and then maybe a little bit of role play, but a lot of it is specifically designed around personal development. Like I spent a ton of time on that, and now we spend a lot of time with our team on that. And so, like, we had at some point in time this year, we had 5 or 6 people on the team doing 75 hard. Jen Weinstein on our team, like she made fitness a main goal this year. I think she lost like 70 pounds in a year, like total transformation. Wow. Her business has totally changed overnight. She's crushed. She's at 7 closings this month. Like, wow. So if you don't think the personal development and changing all your habits is going to have a direct reflection on the business that you do, you're nuts. Like, it all starts with that. And when we know that some people are going down a rabbit hole, or maybe we got people across the board, young people with kids. You got somebody who's 24 and they've been out all weekend. Guess what? They're probably not gonna have a great week, right? You've been out, and that's part of the deal. Like, okay, but how can we cut back a little bit? What do we need to improve on? How do we clean some of these things up? Like, so for us now, me personally, it all starts with that, because if none of that stuff is in order, your business will never be in order, and you will never hit the goals that you want to hit from a business standpoint. Everything starts with the personal side of things.
Could you touch a little bit on I heard 75 hard. I know me and Chad talked about it a lot. He suffered through it. He swears by it. Just for the audience, just to give them a little idea of like how that routine goes and kind of the personal development and the fitness aspect and how that all works.
Yeah, so 75 hard, that's an Andy Frisella deal. You get basically there's a program that you follow, there's an app that you follow. I mean, it's honor system, but we treat it pretty well. Like I had done it. I restarted a couple of months ago, and I forgot to read one night, and so I failed it. And I was at day 30. I had to start over again, and I still haven't made it back. But you have to do 2 workouts a day. One of them is outside. They need to be 45-minute workouts. And so I've been in the rain, pouring down rain, walking around my neighborhood, doing a workout in the evening. You need to read 10 pages of a personal development book, which helps with personal development. Not to mention, when you're doing 2 45-minute workouts a day, you're generally listening to a podcast on the outside workout. So your personal development level is at a 10. You're on a diet, no cheat meals. So I lost 17 pounds the last time I did it. When I finished in December, I was like in the best shape I've been in since I was in college. What else? Drink a gallon of water, no cheat meals, no alcohol. So for me, it worked out perfectly because I had to get up each morning, but you're not groggy when you have because you didn't have a couple of glasses of wine the night before. So you actually get up and you feel great, and you're like on a mental. Like, honestly, you feel superhuman after a while. Like when you really get into it, your aches and pains go away, and you're just if you meet the right schedule with it, and you work your whole schedule around it, you're so much more productive. It can also, if you don't, it can also be a little bit of a distraction here or there, like fitting workouts in. But that's my personal opinion on it.
Is the hardest part in the beginning, just getting started and committing to it, or do you think it's like kind of in the middle where you're just like, oh man, I got to do this for another?
The beginning's hard. If you can
30 days was
schedule
tough
down
for me, man.
Yeah, the middle to end can be difficult. Honestly, for me, I feel like the hardest part is the diet. Once I'm a couple weeks in, the diet's the hardest part. The workouts are easy, as long as there's not something throwing your schedule out, like a flight. Sometimes, like I've had those where I've had to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to get a workout in because I have an early flight, and then you're walking around a hotel at night in another city. Those days stink. Those are the hard days, but like for me, it's always the diet is the hard part, where you just want, you want to eat something bad for you. But I feel like once you get in that schedule and habit, it's easy. You're just in that mindset. This is what I do every day, and it becomes a little bit monotonous. But it's hard to start it. It's hard to maintain.
Because I like Jason. I like that we broke it down. We went into it. I like that. I want to go further because I think I'd say 60-70% of people have heard of 75 hard. They know somebody that's done it now. First off, I'm going to be a little bit of a different person with it. And by the way, I love it. I'm a fan. I think it's a great slap in the face. I'm a support, like it's good stuff. Like I don't mean to be like rude with any of this, but if you talk to me 2 months from now, I'll probably have a different opinion on everything I currently think. So that's me. Welcome to my brain. But I hate it now. I hate 75 hard. I hate it because it was amazing during, and then I feel like all these things, all these short-term-ish, medium, I guess, things, slap you in a good rhythm for a while, and then there's the bounce back to where you were. It's like you started to form these new habits, and then it's like you're pulling this lever back, and then it let go, and it slings you right back to that other side. And I know I personally experienced that. Like
That's the trap.
Right. Like for me right now, it's like, how do I find something, a rhythm that it doesn't matter 5, 10, 15, 20 years, I'm in. I'm all for. And that wouldn't have ever happened, by the way, if I hadn't gone through 75 hard to like go extreme, go the whole way, and then come back and go, whoa, what the hell? I didn't absorb that shit that was great for months. But for me, it's like, again, I think that's a great stepping stone. And I'm not saying, oh yeah, you 75 hard. You're earlier in the journey. You haven't hit my. No, it's not about that. Just for me personally, though, I want to find a rhythm that I won't quit. You know what I'm saying? What do you think about that?
Yeah, if you don't have something lined up when you finish, you'll be in 2 months, 3 months, you'll be right back where you started. And you gain it all back faster than you lost it. Right? It takes a lot longer. So DJ and I were just having this conversation the other day. He just finished 75 hard last week. I'm like, well, what do you got next? And he's like, yeah, I enjoy the evening walks, so I'm going to continue to do those a couple of days a week. Like he goes through Mount Lebanon, or he runs through Mount Lebanon, does those, and he's like, I'm gonna go back and do a 60-day insanity in the mornings right now. So like he's like, he's like, I feel good. I've lost all this weight. I have to continue to maintain it. I can't go back and drink again and start eating like crap again, because that is the trap with it. Like Jen, for example, like her thing is she's a 4 a.m. or 4:30 a.m. or she goes to the gym. Like they keep like a scoreboard at their gym every month. Who has been to the gym and how many days. So it's like, I'm gonna be number 1 this month at the gym. I'm gonna go every day. I'm in that, like, so you have to have something. And that's where if you're all over the board with a 75 hard or whatever diet program or whatever it is, and you're struggling to get through it all the time, but you don't create a consistent habit of when you get up and do the workout and when you do this, if you don't create that, then it's going to be harder to continue to maintain something. But I mean, I'm a pretty regimented, boring person. You at any particular time during the morning, you can pretty much guarantee where I'm going to be. I'm up at the same time. I'm in my gym at the same time. I'm home at the same time. I'm picking my kids up at the same time. There's shit, like I do the same thing every freaking day. And that's the only way that you continue to remain consistent. It can be very monotonous and boring, but I think that's the only way you continue to maintain anything like that, or even calling or whatever it is in business. Like the monotony of consistency can be your greatest attribute if you do the right things.
Well, and it also gives you clarity on what's moving the needle in a sense, because if you're doing different things at different times and you don't know what led to the result, when you're staying consistent, you can just slightly change something and see if that made a difference. I mean, you think about it with dieting or not dieting, but like say food sensitivities, a lot of times, what do? They make you strip it back to the base level diet and then slowly reintroduce things. And I feel like that's what a lot of people need to do with their business, right? They need to strip it down to the basics and then just reintroduce a thing at a time. But without that, like for me, that counting calories was a big one. I hate it. It's boring, monotonous. You got to do it all the time. It's like, I just want to, and I, for a period, I was like, this is too hard. If it's not easy, I'm not going to do it. So this, and when I got away from it, it didn't work. I came back to it. When I stick within, 100, 200 calories every day, it gives me a base point to know, okay, I can slightly increase or slightly decrease based on where I'm at. But without that consistent, if I'm 2,500 calories today, 1,500 tomorrow, 3,000, like there's
an exact correlation to the business. And I just had this conversation yesterday. And it's like, well, I didn't have the year I wanted to have last year. Okay, well, how many dials do we do on a monthly basis? Or like this is a person who's calling expireds for FISBOs. Well, I don't know. Okay, we didn't track anything, so we didn't know what to adjust. So we don't know what to work on. So before we can do anything, we have to reset start doing the activities again, start tracking them so that we can figure out what we need to do to adjust. Maybe it's just you didn't make any calls and you say you're working every day. Like we talk about this all the time. We're all working every day. I'm here every day. You're probably in front of your computer every day, all day. I am working so hard, Chad. I am, I'm a real estate. I am working so freaking hard. But what did you actually get accomplished that day? Was there anything that created any money for you that day, or did you spend 3 hours on an inspection report that could have taken you 5 minutes? You like we're all working, right? Just because you're in front of your computer doesn't mean you're working. Is what really will what are we actually doing to move our businesses forward? What are we doing that's generating money or dollar productive activities, right? Like it's the same thing. And until you track, we did this out. I had it sitting right here. I started doing this with myself again. I'm like, all I'm doing is reacting all day, right? So I started writing down every 15 minutes. What did I do this 15 minutes? What did I do this 15 minutes? I'm like, I spent 6 hours today on nothing that helps move our business forward. All reaction time, answering questions, this. Not that stuff's not important, but I could block that out for an hour and I could answer all those questions, boom, boom, and I could get 3 hours of production back if I wanted to do that. Or I could get 3 hours of calling my leads back. Or I could get 3 hours of following up with my sphere back. Or I could get 3 hours of putting a plan together that's going to help automate our business more, like as a business owner. But that's the way we got to start looking at our time. In my opinion, we all do it. It's real estate. I've been a real estate agent for a long time. Just because we're busy doesn't mean we're busy.
Yeah. I like the daily sprint. I mean, me and Chad have been big on it. We're kind of your top 3 milestones of the day. If I get these 3 things done today, the day was a win. Yep. But I think what happens is I hear this analogy. It's like, we're all business owners, right? Mm-hmm. And, the analogy is if everybody that comes into your office has a problem and that problem's a monkey and they leave their monkey on your desk every day and then leave, your office is going to be filled with all these different problems. It's like, you got to learn, like as a team leader and a business owner, how to let them take that monkey back. Right.
Yep.
How do you kind of judge and there's like a balance act, right, with our agents and our team members and our staff and stuff, where it's like, okay, let me help you with that problem, but in the end of the day, you got to be the one that's solving that, or come to me with a couple different solutions, and then we can work on them.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple ways. I think that's one of them. If you're gonna come. Like I help a lot with our comps. I'm a numbers guy. So every listing we have basically probably comes across my desk. And I have my opinion on where that's at. But rather than me just give an opinion, come to me with your opinion and then let me look at it from my point of view and then let's determine if we're in the same place. And then that way, that's the only way you build that habit. I was just sitting with Jen prior to this with a listing. Like, I want to see how you do it. All right, well, how would you do it first? And then I'm going to show you how I would do it, and then we're going to get there. And the other time is we started to add a piece where for me personally though, at least is like we brought Jen Clordy is kind of we're starting to transition her into a little bit like of a team manager where she handles if it's a contract question, I need help writing this or I'm having trouble with them out, like there's a certain person for that. And that's maybe not me anymore. At some point, for a leader, you got to delegate it. Otherwise, you need to be pig-headed discipline with your time. You cannot, if you're supposed to be prospecting, you cannot have your email open. Like you cannot be on Insta. Like there's certain things that if you allow yourself to do it all the time, I promise there's another problem sitting in your inbox that it's somebody else's agenda, not your agenda, and they're just going to come and steal your time from that. So it's good.
That email, I forget who said it, but it's probably gone around a ton. But like, isn't your email just a task list for you made by somebody else?
Yeah, yeah. There was a quote I was trying to think of. Brendan Bouchard said it the other day. It's like it's somebody else's agenda. I'll put into one thing to steal your time. I forget how it works, but that's exactly what it is.
Right. And it made me get mad at my email when I heard that, because I have like OCD with, clearing out the task list, and I use that to my advantage, like, like proactive stuff, right? Like Jason and I had this daily sprint we've been following, and if it's got 5 calls a day, you mark them off. So I have OCD about that, but on the email side of it, I realized that was taking away to their agenda, like you said. And I think that's, man, I know we all see it, but that's 95% of agents' problems is that
that's it. I had to
that
take
inspection.
I got I have an Apple Watch. I get no notifications on it. I can't. I just know myself. You got to know yourself. If every text message and every email is dinging your watch, you're going to lose your whole day. My emails don't pop up on my phone as a notification. I don't get notifications if somebody sends me a message on a social media app. I've got mine blocked, so it's an hour and it gets blacked out, so I can't view it. Like I have to protect myself from myself.
Yeah.
There's ways to do that technology wise too, right? Like, but you have to know yourself. And if you are the person who has to react when an email comes in, you can't open your email, or you're going to be in reaction mode all day and you're not going to get anything done.
I think that's the simplest hack for people to take away today. It would be get rid of those notifications on the phone. Like, I got rid of the TV in my office. I got rid of every notification on my phone. I don't have the email up, so it's not, like I said, everybody's busy, but then it's like sometimes you go to the path of least resistance, right? It's like, I'll take care of some of this email instead of doing the hard stuff. You know what I mean? So get into the basics, getting rid of all those distractions. Like I said, social media, that'll kill your time so much per day, because it's like, constantly scrolling through stuff. And it's like, before you know it, an hour of your day's gone and you literally got nothing done. And you're like, damn.
Everybody that comes to me and says, I don't have time, I've been so busy, I said, pull up your phone, pull up your social media time on your iPhone. How many hours a day are you in freaking Instagram? How many hours a day are you on Facebook? And I only saw you post once, so you weren't posting for 3, right? You can get 10 hours back in a week, right there, then, right?
Yeah, it's see, I have one other side of it though too, even though like 99% of people need to hear that, and that's true. But the other thing is like, and I know you'll resonate with this, I'm sure, Matt, like, you've got to like, the time I spent, my TikTok algorithm is locked and loaded, man. It's got, all the right people, Ed Milet, Gary V, Jordan Peterson, you name it. Like, it's got the right person. And like, I go in there and I just get that dose of like, get like the shit I need to hear. So like, if you do fall, I mean, you can go down that hole and never come out, too. But if you can get, and TikTok I like, because in such short form, I can get what it used to take 3 hours, on scouring YouTube to find. It could be positive if you use it in the right way too. Like, I just do it at night, about a half hour, 45 minutes or so, and just get that. And I learn things.
Exactly. There's nothing wrong with it. If you look at my social media, because my YouTube is up a lot. I'm on YouTube a lot. I'm listening to, long form. If I'm in my gym at my house, I have a TV on with YouTube on, usually something training or motivate. Podcast, same deal. I'll tell you the one thing that I think a lot of people should do, and this may be an unpopular opinion, but the last couple of years, I stopped following all real estate agents in my market if we're not friends, and a lot nationally. And I'll tell you, my peace level drastically increased, because the number one problem with most agents, especially when you're starting out, is you start to compare yourself to others. And you start to see what other people are doing, and you see that you don't never see the real story, and you never see what they're actually doing behind the scenes, and you never see any of that stuff. And you can stop comparing yourself to other people. Everybody's on their own journey. And honestly, literally has changed my life, as terrible as it is to say, but I quit caring what other people are doing, and it just made my life so much better. And I can concentrate on the things that I know I want to concentrate on. I don't care what this team's doing or what this guy's doing or what this guy's doing. I have proper coaches, I have mentors, I have people within my organization that I'm trying to follow or emulate, and I can concentrate on that. And I don't have to hear the noise of somebody else. Because a lot of times that's all it is noise, and that's where you get a lot of the squirrels that you chase when you're new to the industry, and you see, well, this person's on Instagram. Look at how many followers that she has on Instagram. It's like, yeah, she closed 3 houses this year. Like, so what's the goal? Is it, is it Instagram fame, or is it to do business? Like, so if you can stop the comparisons, it makes your life a lot better, personally.
Yeah, it makes me miss. So when I was started, I didn't know anybody or care or follow any of that. Like, and I just head down, work the damn leads, mostly Zillow leads. Really, it was just work the damn leads, get it done. And I tell agents this a lot when we bring them through, especially the new ones on our team and stuff. And I'm like, you don't understand. I didn't pick my head up for like 3 years, 3 years. Like, I just put it down, did the work. And that's why my second year I did 60, that was, and it was a big jump. The first year I did 23, the second year I did 60. The reason for the jump was because the head didn't get picked up, and they come and they do 23 and they start picking their head up and they start looking around. And it's like, you ain't done yet. You haven't earned your spot. You don't get to pick your head up yet.
Right.
And you have to kind of go beyond what you need in this business because of the nature of the up and down. And that was the way I viewed it when I started. It was just like, all right, this is unpredictable. I got a family to feed. I need cushion because, regardless of market shifts, which we've all learned about in the last year or two, there's spring is different than winter and fall, and April's different than October and all that stuff. So you got to have that, like, just laser focused, and then you have the ability to pick your head up and look at options, look at what, maybe they did it a little smarter than I did. Maybe I'll incorporate that tech piece or that, but you've got to stay head down first.
It's hard to do in this industry too. I mean, it really is. I still tell everybody all the time, right? And you probably lived it. You don't need 8 different marketing campaigns to get to the numbers that you want. You can do 24 to 30 deals a year with one thing that you do well. Well, you could be open houses. You could only work Facebook leads. You could do 2 deals a month, easy. You could do expireds. You can do 2 to 3. Like, any one of those, you can make a great living going really deep. The problem is we spend too much time on too many things, and we never get really good at 1 or 2 of them. It only takes 1 or 2. If I'm a new agent, like, if I'm going to give advice to a new agent, find 1 or 2 things that you always have to have your sphere, because that's going to be long term. Find 1 or 2 things that you like doing that you can go super deep at, that you'll go hard at, and you can find success quickly.
And I think, we definitely want to be respectful for your time, Matt. We appreciate you jumping on the call. Super valuable today. My last question would be, you touched on coaching a couple times during the call, right?
Uh-huh.
When did you feel like you needed a coach? How do you have that dynamic with your coach? Like, what do they kind of help you, kind of keeping you on point, or how does that work? If you want to plug your coaching group or everything like that, let us know from soup to nuts. Like, tell us about coaching.
Yep, absolutely. Where I was at in my business determined what kind of coach I needed. So I think everybody needs a coach. What type of coach is dependent upon where you're at in your business. So when I couldn't afford a coach, I was in group coaching. I was taking everything I could for free. I was watching every video on YouTube I could get in for free. I was on group coaching calls, or whatever that was, whatever the $49 a month that I could get on a call every week, or a couple calls a week, then listen to somebody talk about business. That's the one I was on. And then when I wanted to get good at expired listings, I determined that was something I wanted to get good at expired in FSBOs. I hired Hoss Pratt, who at the time, he was the listing boss. I wanted to be a listing boss, right? Like, so that's who I hired. And what was my coaching call consistent of? Did you make your dials this week? What happened on that listing appointment? Coaching me on becoming an expired listing killer or a for sale by owner killer. And then once I had got through that stage, I started growing a team. So who did I go to? I went to somebody who had a team-oriented coaching program. I wanted to learn the basics. And now I'm at the point, like my coach, John Kitchens, it's almost like therapy, right? Like BJ and I, like literally, it's like he is now my personal development coach. And there are many, many, many coaching calls where we don't even talk about real estate. It's what am I doing to improve? How's the diet? How am I there are calls where I'm just down and I don't know why. And it's just we're talking about how to get energy levels back up. Like, so I think depending upon where you're at in your business, there's probably a coach or a lane for you. And you need to figure out, well, what do I want to get really good at? And then you need to find somebody that specializes in that or is really good at that thing, and then go super deep. And then you're going to outgrow that eventually, and you're going to move on to a different style of coaching or a different coach. But I think if you can find the one that has done what you're trying to do, that's the person you go follow. That's the person you tie into coaching. Like Kitchens is a person, he's a one-on-one coach. And then he has Coach Code, which you should check out. He's they do a weekly call. There's a couple of different development calls, or they'll cover a business topic, which is a group training. So if you're starting out, that's not a bad one either. But it's same deal. Like he's got both aspects of it now, but he's my individual coach and has been for going on 4 years now, almost.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Like it said, I love the personal accountability that, like you said, when you know that you're going to have your call with your coach and he's going to ask you, did you do what you said you were going to do? I think that helps move the needle, right? And then, like you said, it's like, I don't know why as we get older, we just kind of like say, oh, okay, we know everything. We don't need a coach. But like as you're growing up, you have a coach for everything to kind of help you develop whatever skills you want. And it's like all of a sudden, it's like, oh, I know everything. I don't need a coach.
You always do. In my opinion, you always need some kind of coach or mentor. Maybe you can get that mentorship, like maybe joining Chad's organization, you have access to Chad and he can mentor you, right? Like that could be the same form of a coach. There are people within my organization that reach out to me a lot and we have conversations, and I'm not their coach. They're not necessarily paying me, but there's a form of mentor. Like you need somebody. If you don't have anybody, you're going to feel lost. You got to have somebody there to tell you you're on the right track, help you improve. And at some point you got to pay for somebody. And that's a cost to doing business, in my opinion. If you want to try to get to the next level, you need somebody to help you get there.
Yeah. And you got to start where you're at. Like you said, when you're broke and you can't afford it, there's so much free stuff out there. There's so many cheap group coaching options. I mean,
masterclass in real estate on YouTube.
Right.
Just go look at it. Yeah.
It's everywhere. And you just got to plug in and use what's in front of you. If it's not serving you, find something new. And all we're talking about through all this, the math, the stuff, it's just committing to that process, having a daily routine that can just keep moving you forward through life instead of taking you backwards or staying the same. It's great stuff.
Yeah. If there's anything to end it on, right? Like, make sure you're spending enough time on dollar productive activities. That's what's going to move your business ahead. That's what's going to continue to pay the bills. That has to be your number one, right? Create some kind of lifestyle around consistency so that it makes it easy to do that stuff every day. And if you do those couple of things, the rest of it will fall into place. There are people there that will help you get there otherwise, but like take care of that morning, protect the morning, protect your dollar productive activities. And there are days that if you're not feeling it, you go home at noon. It's okay, but you've gotten the things done that are going to move your business ahead. So if you concentrate on those particular things will continue to improve for you. And sometimes it takes time and it takes some people longer than others, but you'll know you're moving in the right direction at least.
And identify what they are. That's the thing. Right. A lot of people don't do that. Great, man. I always love talking with you, Matt. You know that. become a good friend over the years, and you're always willing to, give me a nudge in the right direction whenever we chat. So appreciate the spirit and jumping on. It's been fun growing together, man.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, Matt, thank you so much for jumping on. I'm going to send you a copy of 2x or 10x is easier than 2x. So
yeah, please do, man.
Yeah, it's
Love
good
it.
stuff. You want the audio, or you want for the workouts, or do you want the actual hardcover?
Some hard copy. I think I have it in my Audible already.
Yeah, I have the hardcover anymore too, because less distractions. When I had it on my iPad, I'd be like, all right, then the email's up. Then I had to get rid of all
that. I started doing as a Hermosi hack is I started listening to Audible as I read the book when I was doing my 10 pages, because I found that I would get through it way faster. I put it on 1.2 speed and let the Audible go, and I get through the 10 pages faster, and I comprehend way more of it. There's a
no shit.
Last second hack. I love it.
Awesome. I like that. Good stuff. Well, thanks everybody. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. Thanks everybody for watching there. We'll see y'all on the next one.
Got it.